Well, hello and welcome into another edition of 8Sports, a nightcap here on the WRSC Plus app on WRSCnow.com and our Facebook and YouTube page as well. Another episode is here, and we got a lot to talk about this week because just yesterday I was down in Charlotte, made the trip to the Hilton Uptown Charlotte for ACC Media Day 1. Kind of a slow day in terms of what teams we got to cover there. Obviously, the commissioner, Jim Phillips, spoke to kind of cap off or begin the day, I should say. And he kind of discussed the different things within the conference, and then SMU, California, Stanford, and the University of Virginia all spoke. So obviously I was down there for UVA to kind of hear what Tony Elliott and the rest of the guys had to say. And it was a pretty successful day, I think, for the Cavaliers. I think they kind of hit on the talking points that they wanted to talk about. Tony Elliott really wanted to hammer home 54 new players are on this roster between the transfer portal, 30-plus guys, and then they brought 20-plus guys in from high school, many of which are from right here in the Richmond area, and had a lot of success in the spring game, which you'll see over some of these videos that we're going to show you here. I kind of want to start off by talking about ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips and kind of what he had to say. You know, last March, things kind of got settled in terms of if Clemson and FSU and maybe some other schools were going to leave the conference for different waters. They kind of put a number out there about, you know, what it would cost to get into the conference or leave the conference. And they put some numbers out there that if you have higher viewership, you'll get paid more money. And I think it was, you know, a good, you know, medium level of interest from the different universities and the conferences to kind of stay put right now and not complain too much while they still kind of have to deal with their current ESPN contract. He also mentioned that they were going to have to put out injury reports 2 days before games. That's starting to become a big thing with betting and everything else that kind of goes along with that. But then, of course, UVA took this stand, and Tony Elliott brought in two of their veteran offensive and defensive linemen, and then they brought in two transfers as well that are expected to play a pretty big role in UVA's season this year. Chandler Morris is their starting quarterback this year. You think back to last year. Was it going to be Tony Muskett? Was it going to be Anthony Calandria? Where they flip-flop back and forth during the game? This game, it was Muskett. This game, it was Calandria. They were all over the place in terms of their quarterback room. This year, it's completely different. Chandler Morris is the guy. Showed out during spring practice. He was the guy at ACC Media Days. And he kind of held himself really well. You'll get to see him in just a moment, as I was able to get a one-on-one interview with him and kind of pick his brain about why he decided to come to UVA. If you don't know his background, he started his career at Oklahoma and then transferred to TCU, won the starting quarterback job over Max Duggan at TCU, and then got injured and then lost that to Max Duggan, who would go on and obviously get drafted. So he's a pretty good quarterback. And then this past season, he was at North Texas, where he finished third in the country in offense and had a really good season for the Mean Green. And now he's in Charlottesville. His dad was an assistant coach with Tony Elliott at Clemson. So he knew Elliott really well and wanted to kind of have that bond with him. And we get into that conversation with Chandler Morris here in just a moment. I'll show you that interview. And then on the backside of that interview, I got to talk with Mitchell Melton, another transfer. He came in to the program from Ohio State, where he just won a national championship with the Buckeyes and saw some pretty good playing time with the Buckeyes. When he wanted something new, he comes down to Charlottesville, and he seems really excited to get started as well. And I'll be honest with you, the mood around UVA yesterday was that they are expecting to have a much better season than they did last year. And, you know, maybe their schedule has a little something to do with that, as well as the fact that, you know, they have all these new faces. It feels like a different culture in the locker room is kind of what the players were telling me. So let's take a look at those interviews I had with both Chandler Morris, transfer starting quarterback this year, and Mitchell Melton, new defensive end from Ohio State. ACC Kickoff in Charlotte. Got a very special guest with me today, Chandler Morris, new UVA quarterback. Last season spent some time at North Texas with the Mean Green, but now you're a Cavalier. How's Charlottesville treating you?
It's been great. It's been a little different from where I'm from in Texas, but I've really enjoyed it. I'm glad there's warm weather now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure there's warm weather down there in Texas now. Summertime, obviously, warm weather. TCU, North Texas, Oklahoma, spent a lot of time, in Big 12 country, SEC country, down there, right? Now we're on the East Coast, ACC. What made you want to join Tony Elliott and the Cavaliers?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, Coach Elliott himself. I mean, I've known him for a long time. Known him since I was about 10 years old. Have a great relationship with him. My family does as well. And then just knowing it's my last season, I want to go be around great people. And Coach Elliott is that, and I know he's got a great staff around him. So that was a huge attraction for me. And then also, too, I mean, the fan base at Virginia. I mean, they're hungry. They're ready to get it rolling. And I've got the confidence in Coach Elliott and everyone around him in the program that we're going to get it right.
Yeah, I mean, it's no secret that the Cavaliers have kind of struggled here recently, but there's a lot of excitement around this year's team with all the transfers that Coach Elliott has brought in, including yourself. Do you guys feel that excitement for this season from the fans and then the locker room as well?
Yeah, no, we do. I mean, we know that we went out, we got the pieces that we needed. The coaches did a great job of that in the portal. And then now it's up to us as players, and we've done a great job of it this summer of really getting everyone to mesh well and kind of hit the ground running. And that's kind of what this new college football era is just a bunch of new faces and who can adjust the quickest and get everyone on the same page. So we're extremely excited in the locker room. We know what we have, and we're fired up to get after it.
I always joke around and call media days, ACC Kickoff, just talking season, right? There's no football actually being played. How excited are you to actually strap up in the orange and blue and represent the Cavaliers for the first time this upcoming season?
I'm extremely excited. I mean, it's talking season right now. Everybody's got their predictions. Everyone has their little sayings that they say. I mean, we're ready to put the pads on and set the ball down and get after it.
Perfect. That's been UVA starting quarterback Chandler Morris. I'm joined now by new defensive end of the Virginia Cavaliers, Mitchell Melton. You've been on campus for a little while. You joined the Cavaliers from Ohio State. We'll kind of just jump right into this thing. What's it been like in Charlottesville since you've joined the team?
It's been great. The city's been great, and the team's been amazing. A lot of new guys, a lot of new cultures coming together, gelling, and I think we've done a great job with that, and I'm really excited, so yeah.
Originally from the DMV, you mentioned Silver Springs. To kind of come back a little closer to home, you were at in Columbus, so now just a couple hour drives for mom and pop, right?
Yeah, they moved to Dayton, Ohio, but we still love them, and they're going to come all the way.
Yeah.
But my sister's in Bethesda,
okay.
So I get to see her. 2-hour drive. It's not bad at all, but it's great. Being back where I was and where I was from, and yeah, it's amazing.
Are you coming off a national championship?
Yes, I am.
And so now you join a team that's looking to make that next step.
Of course.
Maybe make a bowl game, make a push.
Right.
The schedule looks promising for the Cavaliers.
Yeah.
What was your decision-making process like to come and join Tony Elliott?
It was just really the relationship that me and the coaching staff made over that unique time of me trying to prepare for a playoff while also preparing for my future. But yeah, it was really just the need that they presented was something that it was very transparent in the conversations we had, and it was very clear and communicative, so it was kind of an easy process, and they kind of stood out above the rest, so it was very quick and easy for sure.
This offseason, I feel like there's kind of this vibe around Virginia football that they're ready, that you guys are ready to take that next step. Do you feel that in the locker room? Is there maybe a certain excitement level for this upcoming season?
I think more so than anything, we want to stay in the locker room and not really listen to the outside noise as much, but at the same time stay disciplined and working and crafting as best as we can so that the minor detail that's crucial to win a game is going to be showing up, and we're going to execute at the best possible time. So it's really just staying within ourselves and locking in the things that we need to do.
I know the fans are excited to see you in action. For Mitchell Melton, this has been Nolan Knight here at the Uptown Charlotte at ACC Media Days. Yeah, so there you go. 2 interviews with 2 guys that should play a pretty big factor in what UVA does this year. Starting defensive end, starting quarterback. You really just don't know these things until you get to the season, right? I talked with Chandler Morris. It's talking season, right? No, everyone can say that they're going to have big expectations or a great season, but you really don't know until you strap things up. So I kind of wanted to take the time to maybe talk to someone that wasn't from UVA, that maybe had an opinion that, the fact that they have struggled in years past. Tony Elliott has yet to make a bowl game. A 3-win season, a 4-win season, a 5-win season. Is this year he gets 6, or do they make that next push that both Chandler and Mitchell were talking about and maybe competing for an ACC championship? Their schedule would make you think that, hey, you know, maybe they can make that sort of push. So I did sit down with head writer at TechSideline.com, Andy Bitter. He's been covering Virginia Tech and, you know, sports in Virginia for over 20 years now. I think I might have just aged him a little bit. Might not be that long, but he did take the time to kind of chat with me, and we did a preview of, you know, what UVA season would look like, and we also talked about Virginia Tech because obviously Andy Bitter a little more in tune with what's going on in Blacksburg than maybe in Charlottesville, and in terms of, you know, having a better idea of what to expect from the Hokies, and he kind of gave us a preview of what to expect for Virginia Tech this season in terms of what they'll talk about tomorrow, being Thursday at ACC Media Day 3, as well as, you know, what fans can expect from this season under Brent Pry. Is it, you know, is he on the hot seat? Next question kind of came up in our conversation. Here's Andy Bitter, who writes for TechSideline.com. Kickoff, media days, whatever you want to call it, coverage continues with Andy Bitter at Tech Sideline. Thanks for taking a little time to talk with me today. Obviously, you spend most of your time covering Virginia Tech. Here on day one, though, UVA will take this stand. You know, what's kind of maybe the expectations for, you know, Tony Elliott and the Cavaliers?
Yeah, I think this is sort of a now or never year for them. You look at the schedule that they have, it's about as favorable as you get in the ACC. Missing a lot of the top teams, playing a lot of the teams that finished at the bottom last year. You know, have not gone to a bowl game in the first 3 years under Tony Elliott. Got close last year, did not quite get over that hump. But, you know, I think with the easy schedule, the number of transfers they brought in, certainly a big one at Chandler Morris at quarterback, I think there's going to be an expectation to take that next step with this program. You have to show a little bit of progress in terms of, hey, we can make a postseason. Hey, this is a viable coaching staff that can do this stuff. And if they don't, and you're 4 years in, I think you have to start wondering, is he the right guy?
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of the sentiment I get from talking with fans and, you know, our viewers, they think there's a little excitement and, you know, some maybe more positive mindset going into this year after, you know, winning one more game than they had last year previously.
Yeah, I think it's a process.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, every new coach comes in and they have to reshape the roster. And, you know, there were other challenges, obviously, at UVA that they have gone through with that program. So it was not an easy rebuild by any means, and sometimes rebuilds are slower in some places than others. So it's been, you know, I think 3 wins to 5 wins, I think, is the progression that they've had there. So can you get the next step to 6, 7 wins? That would feel like, you know, forward momentum with the program. And that's happened before. You look at Bronco when he got there, Bronco Mendenhall, it was, you know, 2, 4, 6. Yeah. I mean, it was a stepping stone straight up.
They had some success.
And they did. And so you can get there with UVA. I think it's not necessarily a quick fix program. I think it takes time to build something there.
You know, obviously, your primary focus is Virginia Tech. You're right for Tech Sideline, have for a long time now. Brent Pry, year 4 as well for him entering this upcoming season. Last year when we were here at ACC Media Days, the talk around Virginia Tech was a lot different than it is here in 2025. What are you expecting to hear from the Hokies on Thursday?
Yeah, I think it's kind of similar to UVA. Maybe you know, a rung higher on the ladder, but this is a program that needs to win some games and win some games now, because 6-6 is not really what Virginia Tech fans are looking for. That's been the reality of the last, you know, decade plus, but that's not what this program is used to. It's not the standard that it's at. So, you know, going 6-6, creeping into a bowl game, you know, whether or not you play well in the bowl game based on how many guys opt out, that's not the life that Virginia Tech wants to be in. So, you know, I think Brent Pry has made progress in terms of recruiting, repairing relationships. He's obviously created excitement around the fan base that I think his predecessor wasn't all too interested in doing that much. But you've got to win some games, and you've got to win some marquee games. And that's sort of the one thing that they have not had in his first 3 years. They've beaten a lot of teams that they were supposed to beat, and they beat up on them pretty well. You know, typically, you know, 20-point wins and stuff like that. But whenever they go up against a team that's a little bit better than them or equal to them, they really struggle in those games. I think you have to start winning those before you can turn the corner into the program.
You know, you're someone that's followed Tech now for a couple regimes, right? You've kind of seen the ebbs and flow of success and excitement around the program. What is, as a beat writer, what has that been like, that experience, coming to Virginia, covering the Hokies? When you first started, there was all this excitement around the program, and then it died off, and then it's just kind of been a roller coaster for Hokie fans, I feel like.
Yeah, I think you just called me old. That's okay. No, that's okay. I'll take it. No,
tenured.
Yes, tenured, seasoned. It's been interesting because, when I've been in Virginia since 2002. When I first got here, and I didn't cover Virginia Tech back then, maybe sporadically, a game here and there, but the program was really at its peak.
Yeah.
And it was a national conversation. It was up there. And when I came back to cover this program full time in 2011, that's right when the dip happened. That's right when the drop off happened. So I have not really covered it up close and personal where they've had that great success. There was that end run there where they were in the Sugar Bowl in 2011. But after that, it's been very sort of sparing how much success they've had. So I think that's tough for a fan base to come to grips with. Certainly there were a lot of elements that they had that, sort of a perfect storm of Hall of Fame head coach, Hall of Fame caliber defensive coordinator, the kind of talent they had for a long time. That's tough to duplicate, and certainly in the shifting landscape of college football, where money is a bigger and bigger deal now, that makes it tougher for schools like Virginia Tech to compete at the level they did before. I think that's tough for fans sometimes to come to grips with and kind of look at where their place is in college football. But I've noticed that the passion of the fan base is still there. They still sell out that stadium all the time. That hasn't really waned. So I think with a couple tweaks, they could get back to being competitive and being an interesting team on the national scene. I don't know if you're ever going to see 8 straight 10-win seasons again. I don't know if you're ever going to see, barring a transcendent player like Michael Vick, them playing for a national championship again. But they can certainly be better than what they've been.
Absolutely. Well, Andy, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for stopping by. And, of course, you can find his writings on Texas. All right, so there you go. Big thanks to Andy Bitter at Tech Sideline for taking the time to chat with me yesterday. I've been reading his stuff for a long time. Great follow if you do follow Virginia Tech athletics. To kind of talk about some of the points that he brought up, the UVA schedule. Let's bring that up and take a look at how things are looking over in Charlottesville this year. They have 7 home games. Andy kind of mentioned that they have the ability, to maybe have a good season just based off of their home games. They start with Coastal Carolina. That should be a game that UVA wins with the depth that they have. Then probably the hardest game on their schedule at NC State, week 2. And then they're going to come back home to host William & Mary, Stanford team that really struggled last year. Florida State at home, a Florida State team that I don't think anyone really knows if they're going to be back to the level that Florida State used to be 2 seasons ago, or if we get last season's Florida State that struggled to win any games. They'll be on the road at Louisville. That's one of the harder games on their schedule. Washington State, a team that probably, kind of mirrors Virginia's skill level at North Carolina, who knows what the Tar Heels look like under Bill Belichick. And then they're on the road at Cal Berkeley. That's a game that Virginia should be able to be competitive in. They host Wake Forest in a game they should be competitive again. They go on the road to Duke. I don't think Duke's going to be quite as good as they were last year, but I think they probably have a little more skill level in that locker room than Virginia does. And then, of course, they will host Virginia Tech this year, the Saturday after Thanksgiving in the Commonwealth Clash. Very interesting to see what happens this year. Obviously, Virginia Tech has won much more of those matchups since the turn of the century than UVA has. And maybe this is the year with the depth that they have and the downswing that Virginia Tech has been on for them to kind of maybe get a win back in that matchup. As for Virginia Tech, their schedule also not impossible by any means. You might notice on these 2 schedules, both Virginia and Virginia Tech were able to get away from Clemson, for example. Virginia Tech was able to also not quite, they don't have quite the schedule that UVA does, but to go through it, they have 2 SEC games on their schedule. Yes, South Carolina and Vanderbilt may be on the bottom tier last season in terms of the standings of the SEC, but they'll take on Shane Beamer and the Gamecocks in Atlanta prime time, a Sunday night game before the NFL season starts. Should do great numbers, especially if it's a good game. That's that 3 p.m. Sunday, August 31st. Then they'll host Vanderbilt. They lost on the road in a heartbreaker. You think Virginia Tech might be able to bounce back with a win in that game. And then they will host Old Dominion. They've had struggles with the Monarchs since the Monarchs went to FBS football. They'll host Wofford. And then they also have to travel to NC State at Carter Finley Stadium. That's going to be a really hard game. NC State, I think, has put together a really good roster. I think they're kind of the dark horse in this conference this year. Wake Forest at Lane Stadium. They're on the road at Atlanta again to play Georgia Tech, a place they've struggled to play in the past. Then they will host California this year. They'll host Louisville this year. And then they go on the road back down to Tallahassee to play Florida State. They lost the last time they were down in Tallahassee. They get Miami at home, which I think is a big plus for them if they do manage to try to get some wins. And then, of course, on the road at Scott Stadium. I think the big key point in this thing is their hardest games on their schedule, probably Louisville, Miami, both at home. But they do have to go on the road to NC State. And, of course, they also have Vanderbilt at home. So very interesting to kind of put yourself in the shoes of trying to predict what Virginia Tech and UVA does. I'll be honest with you, on my ACC ballot, I had both UVA and Virginia Tech in the bottom half of the conference in terms of my preseason ballot that I gave out for my rankings this year. But it was a lot of fun to be out at ACC Kickoff yesterday to talk with Tony Elliott and Chandler Morris and Mitchell Melton, as well as some of the other guys that were there. Noah Josie was there as well for the Cavaliers. So to talk to those guys, kind of get a better idea of what their confidence level is entering the season, right? And the big takeaway that I had from the day was that the Cavaliers seemed much more confident this year than they did last year, and they took that step up to 5-7 last year. If Tony Elliott can win 7 games, I think he saves his job. I think he's in danger. I think, to put a hot seat on somebody. 3-9, 3-9, 5-7. I think I said they won 4 games their second year. Was rightly corrected by Andy Bitter in that interview with him. But I think if Tony Elliott can manage to win 7 games, then he'll probably be able to stick around. This is kind of his first batch of, mostly his guys. There's still a couple of guys that have stuck around from that Bronco Mendenhall era. And that's how long now he's been. This is his 4th year in Charlottesville. As for Virginia Tech, kind of similar situation. Last year, they were able to make that step up to 6 wins, which was big for the Hokies. We'll see if they can make that next step and, maybe be in the conversation to, I wouldn't say compete for the ACC championship, but to win 8 or 9 games. I think that would be big for the Hokies program. It's just a matter of whether or not they can get through their schedule, this Virginia Tech schedule. Not the easiest, especially if Florida State returns to the power that they once were 2 years ago. As for Virginia, I can see wins on this schedule much more so than on the Virginia Tech schedule. But that's going to wrap up another edition of 8 Sports Nightcap. In terms of what else is going on at ACC Media Days, a little bit of a slow day today. All of the exciting names come on Thursday. On day 3 at ACC Media Days. Florida State did take the stand today to preview their season. Georgia Tech did as well. But tomorrow's the big one. You have Dabo Swinney talking on Thursday. You'll have Bill Belichick in the building. That's going to probably steal all the headlines across the country. And then Virginia Tech kind of wraps up the day. Or actually, I think they're going a little earlier. But they'll also be on Thursday as well. We'll try to get some of that sound to you tomorrow. I will be out of town on Thursday and Friday. So if you don't see me on air at 6 and 11. No worries. No worries. I have a vacation plan that I'll be attending. But in terms of our coverage here coming up, Thursday, we'll have a little bit of ACC Day 3 sound from Virginia, and then Friday, or Virginia Tech, and then Friday we'll be up in Charlottesville. Madeline, our new sports reporter, will have a piece put together on their media luncheon, as we'll get to hear from the coordinators for the one and only time this season. But that's going to wrap up another edition of 8 Sports Nightcap. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week. I got a really, really, really good episode planned with one of the local coaches, and let's just say he was a champion of this past season. So that's a little teaser for you. Should be a great episode next week. Be sure to tune in always on WRCNow.com. And if you have a smart TV or a Roku, you can add the WRC Plus app to kind of see some of the past episodes that maybe you've missed. They're a little more evergreen now than they used to be. But anyway, that'll wrap things up. We'll see everybody. Have a good night. Goodbye.